I know. Hey, everybody, and welcome back. Do we have an amazing book celebration, launch, birth, however you want to classify this? We are here to celebrate Bjorn's latest book, Rune of Destiny. Everyone on here is a part of that in the journey or writes in a similar genre. So we are here. Make sure that you go and grab your copy today. The ebook is 99 cents. So make sure you go and take advantage of that because you know it's going to go up in 3 days. If you've been on my launches before, you know the spiel and how we do it. Let me get everybody introduced, and then we're going to get the man of the hour talking about his book and his series and just writing and how he came about. So obviously we have the author Bjorn, who is joining us. Yes. DC Gomez, Mark, Mickey, Trisha, Dina, Ray, oh my gosh, and her pink and flamingo fabulous self. Andrea and Cece is here. You guys, I am really excited about this entire conversation that we're about to have because I've been the most excited since I got your guys' emails. You guys are going to be on. I think this conversation is going to be a lot of fun. But to start off the conversation, Bjorn, hi, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are y'all doing?
I don't know about anybody else, but it's hot as hell here in Texas. Okay, I hope you guys are a lot cooler than we are, and if you are, I'm jealous and send it to us.
It's cold where I am. Just know that.
we know.
It might be cold where Mark is too. I don't know.
Well, we're cold here in South Carolina about 1 week out of the year, and that's it. So
you're similar to Texas. You're similar to Texas. I get it. Mark, we could not hear your mic. I don't know what's going on, but we could not hear you. But
how's that?
Yeah.
Okay. Somehow I pushed the mute button. I was just saying it's sultry here by September standards. It's about 17 or 18 degrees Celsius, which is, I don't know, 85 Fahrenheit or so. No, 80.
See, we would take that on a good day. It's like 99 with heat index of 105, 110. You go outside, you melt. That's all I know. You just stay inside and you hope your AC doesn't go out because that's the time it always goes out. But Bjorn, you have to tell us about Rune of Destiny. Give us the quick synopsis of this book and series, and then we're going to dive in deeper.
So this is book 3 in the series. 1 and 2 started off with Mariel, the doctor's daughter. She's the protagonist, and it kind of follows her through her destiny. And book 3 is the final part of the main story, but there's a lot more coming after that. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot to this story. It's very complicated, very layered. Mariel is I'm biased because I wrote it, but Mariel is a super awesome character. I mean, she's got so many layers. She's got so many struggles and so many things she has to face. And I think I read in one of the reviews recently, and it's perfect. It says that it shows that no great warrior faces battle alone, which is what this story is about as well, because there are so many characters that play into this. So I read somewhere before I started really trying to write my own book that you're supposed to focus on 7 or less characters. Yeah, I blew that out the water. There's dozens of characters, and all of them have a part to play. All of it's intertwined. If you boil it down and take the background of it, it almost takes all of existence and shows how everything is connected somehow. Whatever you do right now connects to something 1,000 years from now, 10,000 miles away. I mean, it shows how complicated existence is. Now, that's not the focus of the story, but that's part of the background. But her focus is it's the traditional dark against light, but with a lot of curveballs in it.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we have to go to your editor, Andrea. Okay. So what was it like having to edit so many characters? He really broke the rule on that one, but in a really great way, because you have some pretty badass characters. I really
pretend I'm not here, Andrea.
No, it's easy. It's easy to respond to that. What was it like? It was fantastic. For me as an editor, one of my favorite things that an author can do is really strong character development. Thankfully, that comes, I guess, very natural to Bjorn, or he works very, very hard to make it so. But his characters are, you just think about them all the time like they're part of your regular life, you know. They are very developed. There's a lot of dialogue in his writing, but you don't even have to read the he said she said to know who's talking, because he develops their dialogue so well also. So he's a fantastic writer, but that's definitely one of his strengths is the character development. And a person shouldn't be intimidated to dive into this story for fear of losing track of all the layers or whatever. It really, while there are a lot of layers, it's not hard to follow.
No, I found it was pretty smooth, because I sometimes have read books and they're not all on my DNF, my did not finish list. I didn't finish them. I am a completionist, and I will get, if I'm really invested in a book, okay, I will get a piece of paper so I can keep track. But I find that in the fantasy, sci-fi, just that genre and realm, you have to do that anyways, because if you start time traveling with people and you're meeting new people and then that family tree has grown, you really have to do that, you know. But as a lover of that genre now, because of Bjorn, because it was not my genre. If you guys have ever joined me before, psychological thrillers, the more jacked up somebody is and they wreak havoc on other people, the happier Aimee is. But Bjorn has made me a fantasy lover. Like, and it's, I never, that just wasn't my realm. Like, not even fantasy movies really aren't my thing, right? And I know I'm gonna get hate, like Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. Those aren't my thing, okay? Gone Girl, that's Aimee. Amy's, that's me. But Bjorn has made me love it. So having the piece of paper and like keeping track of everything was very smooth.
That's one thing a lot of people have asked me over time is, what genre is it? And I mean, Andrea can vouch for this. I struggled for a long time to even say what that was, because it seems like it spills over into a lot of things. It takes a little bit of everything in life, really, and puts it in one story. So the best I've heard is historical fiction fantasy, so that's what I'm riding with. It's that one.
I think that's pretty accurate. There's a lot of, because of there is some time travel. There's a lot of historical fiction in there, but it's just woven so well into the fantasy and the fiction piece of it. It's very seamless.
It is. So, Bjorn, that brings me to a writing question for you, and then this goes out to the rest of the authors that are on here if you want to answer it. If not, we're going to play popcorn. I'm going to call your name, okay? So, at some point, you got to answer it at some point.
I love popcorn.
But your writing journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like for you? When did you first kind of been like, okay, I need to get this book out of me and write it down? And then when did it kind of pivot where you're like, okay, I'm going to take this seriously? Were you taking classes? You know, what's your writing journey?
It actually started, this is a, I don't know, 10, 12 year maybe evolution from segueing away from technical writing. That's where a lot of my writing was before, was technical writing for companies I worked for. It was, I love history, so I used to write a lot of history nonfiction, which doesn't really exercise your creative part of your brain very much. It's just kind of relaying, you know, maybe summarizing something that's happened and just relaying it as it really happened. There's not a lot of creativity in it, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong there. I hope I'm not offending nonfiction writers by saying that, but I did that for a long time. But because I love history so much, I also got into genealogy and started looking at, especially with like 23andMe coming out, things like that, where you really can really dig into your own family tree. I always knew I had a lot of Scandinavian in my background. My dad I knew his parents were from, or his great grandparents were from Norway and Sweden. But when I started digging into it some more, I found out there's a whole lot more than just those lines. I mean, a lot of my background was Scandinavian, and that explains why I live in South Carolina, born in South Carolina, raised in South Carolina. I've always lived here and absolutely hate the heat. I can't stand the heat, but I've always been here, and I sweat at 70 degrees. So now I know why my genetics are set up from cold country. So it kind of all makes sense now. Kind of got off track there a little bit, but that led into the idea of surnames. You know, surnames are different in ancient Scandinavia. They were derivatives of your father's name. So Leesson, my dad is Lee, you know, so that's where the name comes from. So I started digging into that, and realized there's a lot more to Norse history than people kind of know about. You know, there's in the 60s, I think this is where Mariel started to become a thing in my head. In the 60s or 70s, I think, in England, they discovered a burial mound that was a Viking burial mound in England. And back then, they just assumed it was a male. You know, if Viking chief, it's got to be a male. They didn't really look into it real deep. But recently, within the last 10 or 15 years, I think, they started really examining the remains, and it had the grave goods were whoever this was obviously a very highly respected warrior, you know, leader of warriors in fighting in England. And they realized the skeleton is female. So all this time they just made assumptions. They're like, wait a minute. So that sparked in my head. Is like, wow, that's fascinating, because I mean, now we're more open to the idea of a female warrior, so to speak, you know, sword, shield, axe, female warrior. Badass, I like to call them badass female warrior.
Yeah.
Now, you know, now we're kind of accepting of that. It's almost second nature. But at the time I started really thinking about the character of Mariel, it wasn't. And I was thinking that would be something, that would be a good story. I would really love to see a story about that. So I just started kind of making notes. It was going to be a short story. It was just going to be a short story about Mariel, this Viking warrior that was in England. And then I started throwing supernatural elements into it, because I have a lot of interest. And one of them's the paranormal is fascinating to me. History, just about every science you can think of fascinates me. Archaeology, obviously. So all of these things started to coalesce around this character that I named Mariel. And after I'd already started writing the story is when her name became the Doctor's Daughter, Mariel the Doctor's Daughter, because I decided I want to make her super interesting. Yes, she's a female warrior, and yes, she's a leader of other warriors. She's in England. She's got the supernatural destiny, but I'm going to make her more interesting. So I started giving her all these quirks. She doesn't like odd numbers, for example, just weird little things that make her different. And one of them was her appearance. She wasn't going to be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, pale-skinned Viking. That isn't who Mariel is. So her father was he immigrated to Iberia when he was young, but he was from Northern Africa. So he was dark-skinned, you know, dark-haired and brown-eyed, and he ends up marrying a Norse woman. And when he finds his way to Norway, which I won't give that away, but when he finds his way to Norway, he marries a Norse woman there, and they have Mariel. So Mariel is dark skinned. She's got thick, wild black hair and bright green eyes. I just want to throw that in as just something to make her even more interesting. And of course, she's got the supernatural power in her. So all this stuff just makes this like absolutely singular character, and this whole story envelops around her. And then you've got all these other singular characters, because there's some other really interesting ones that end up by her side and against her, depending on what part of the story you're in. So I don't know if that really answered your question, but that was a progression of probably over 5-6 years. But the last 2 years is where I really, really, really sat down and really started writing this story. So the first book was started about 2 years ago. So now I'm up to almost 7 now. I've just finished the 7th iteration that I have not sent to Miss Andrea yet, but will be soon.
It's coming.
Yes.
What happened with this being a short story? Okay, now we're 7 books in.
Yeah, that spun out of control. I mean, in a good way. It spun out of control, yeah. And there's still more. I still have 5 other possibilities, so there might be up to 10, 15 books out of this.
I love
Bjorn, I think to appease Aimee's genre fit, you should think about things like Mariel versus Jack the Ripper, or Mariel versus whatever.
It's funny you mentioned that.
Mariel versus Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Let's get on these. Let's appease her.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, Mickey, because I knew. I started writing it before I knew this, Aimee. But I know she likes historical crime drama type background books, and 6 and 7 are heavy with that. But it's not our time. It is Civil War era. So you got Civil War era mafia, and it's part of the story as well. So you'll love these.
Going forward, bang bang.
I'm excited for it, and I want to hear about everyone else's writing journey and what genre you guys write in. So not everybody raise their hand at once. It's not no battle. Okay, we don't need a battle. Save that for Bjorn writing in his books. Okay, no battle. So who wants to talk first? DC, you unmuted, so you get to go.
Why not? I think. Why not? Let's do this. So Bjorn, congratulations and happy release day. I am so happy for you.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It is such an honor when Mickey and Aimee invited me. I was like, oh my God, I love this series. I can't wait for everyone to get involved. So your journey is so much fun and amazing. So congratulations and happy day. Enjoy the day. Happy book and series re-release. How about that? So enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm excited for you. My book just came out last week. So I'm having this new book author moment, even though this is book 21. And it feels like book 1. This is first novel in 2 years out. So I'm excited. So it's Cursed by Her. So Aimee, this is probably a little bit more for you because it's a murder mystery assassin in an urban fantasy setting. So you get some fantasy, you get some assassins going on. It is a little Red Riding spin-off retelling per se. So it's part of the Once Upon a Car series. So we have an amazing collection of authors all doing standalone books, all based on fairy tales. So for anybody who enjoys action-packed, it has an interesting twist at the end for anybody who's just going to be prepared. A couple of the reviews have said it's going to take you on a wild, emotional ride. I was accused of, conducting PTSD in a couple of the readers who I love. So I know. So be prepared. I am not taking any responsibility for your emotional traumatization out of this book, but it's coming. It is.
But that's life, right? I mean, I got accused of the same thing. That's life.
You understand the struggle. So
you guys.
It starts kind of
see, we are not using the PTSD spin in our clicks.
Just put it as a trigger warning. Cause PTSD. There you go. I like that. Well, so when did your writing journey start? You're on book 21 and you kind of dabble in a lot of different things, right? So when did your writing journey start? When did you get bitten by the writer's bug?
So disclaimer for everybody. I know a lot of people, and I've interviewed a lot that tell me I've been writing since I was a kid. This has been my dream and my passion. I have been a storyteller, I want to say, since I was 15. So give it 30 years of this medium and world of just creating different versions. The actual transition to a professional writer happened about 7 years ago. Is when I finally, it's fairly recent. I kind of found myself in a place where I tell everybody I was sick and tired and I was miserable and I was depressed. And I needed an outlet to find my creativity again, and writing was the place. Because like you, I'm in Texas. I'm a little bit in East Texas. I'm in the Bible Belt. So, how do you find yourself to create things? And this is one of the probably best and most impressive way to release that creativity. I was a little terrified. So I go by DC because I did not think, Bible Belt could handle a whole bunch of, supernatural activities. I am pleased to say that I have been mistaken because my community has embraced it tremendously since this series takes place in Texarkana. So I'm like, really, girl? Is that what we have? So we got some zombies. I got some vampires. I got a little bit of this.
Nice. Awesome.
All running out, modern Texas. So it's a wild ride.
I love it. I'm telling you, the most underrated book. And I'm telling you, all of you guys are probably going to give me hate on this, and it's okay. Pride and Prejudice Zombies is very underrated. Okay, that was a great book. I don't care who you are. When she pulls the sword out and just goes into battle against the zombies, I was there for it. I was there for it. So I'm just saying, you guys are learning a lot about me, and so we're going to leave me and all best friends. Okay, we're all best friends at the end of this. I'm telling you. But oh, man, okay. Well, let's see. CC, when you're done drinking your water, how did you get your writing journey started, and what genre do you write in?
So probably like DC, I started when I was a kid. I remember coming across this unusual berm in the neighborhood and spinning this whole yarn about how the neighbor had murdered someone and buried him there and disguised it in his landscaping and all that. Nice. I think I was 9.
Did you like your neighbor though?
I didn't even know this person.
Oh, okay,
I just made.
Well, that makes it easier then.
I'm a kid. Do I know the adults? No, I have no clue. No clue. Probably was some really nice person who baked cookies on the weekends. But anyways,
I would
Yeah, I was
not-
already thinking of it.
No.
I've been telling stories since a kid. I started my writing journey to become a published author about 10 years ago through a lot of like drafts, and there was COVID in there and just a whole bunch of other stuff. Finally released my first full-length novel on September 7th. So I'm also in the new phase and had some freak out moments that first week, as Aimee can attest to. And I was like, okay, just calm down, girl. I'm never like this. In my real life, like I'm totally not excitable. I'm like normal, but yeah, it brought a whole new level of crazy out of me.
But we survived it. We survived
And
it.
we survived it. And I write in the young adult dystopian. So no fantasy, although I love fantasy and I do read it,
Oh.
especially retelling. So I'm super excited about the Red Riding Hood retelling and Norse. I feel like Norse legends are all retellings in a way. So I'll go. I'm excited.
Dina, okay, Dina, she's not going to tell you, but I'm going to straight tell you because I give her this all the time. None of you guys know this, but Dina has written a book. It's just not published. She's actually working on a series. Fabulous, but it is the one book that left me with a book hangover where whenever I bring it up, like today, I still get very mad because she's the one author that I still love to this day that's left me on a cliffhanger and has been on that cliffhanger for 8 years. Six years? I don't know, 8 or 6 years. Okay, but Dina has written a book. So Dina, tell everybody how you got written by the writer's bug.
Well, okay, about me, my mother has been in publishing. You know, she started out at a newspaper. She did the design of the newspaper for the Houston Post when it was still a newspaper. It's no longer anymore. And so, like, we were the first ones with computers in the house, you know, because my parents both worked for the newspaper. So, like, I had a computer. I'm Gen X, so, like, I'm an old fart. I'm not quite as old as my mom because she's a boomer. But so I've always had a computer to sit there and play with. And then I got into the publishing. And I took over a lot of my mom's clients because her vision was bad. But one day, I've always been a massive reader. I mean, I'm constantly got a book in my hand, you know, reread stuff. I find an author that I really like and I reread it because I like that world. And so one day I was driving out to West Texas and we forgot to turn on the stereo, right? I got 2 kids. They're both quiet for a change. And we're driving like a 600-mile trip and we never turn on the stereo. And so I start thinking, okay, well, what if I did this? And then I can have them do this. And I did the whole drive and plotted out a complete series of 8 books. Mm-hmm. And came home. And when I woke up the next day, it was still there in my head. So I just sat at the computer. I put my my client's project on hold for a day. And I thought, I'm just going to see if I can get it out. So in one day, I wrote like 4,000 words. And it was all coherent and it made sense. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. So then I did my client's work and then I came back. So within a month, I had written 80,000 words while I was still doing clients' projects. So I sent it to some of my friends and they're like, oh, you need to publish this. Where's the rest of it? Where's the rest of it? And I even had one friend who wrote under the name of Anne Conley. And she had one character and I'm like, your character needs to get with one of my characters that I haven't fleshed out yet. So she went ahead and did that in her book that was published. And so I know her people are waiting, but I sent it to an editor. I had it edited. It came back. I never opened the file again to do the edits. It's just sitting there. And I brought it up to Aimee and I told her, you know, after all of these people had read it and brought it up to Aimee, and Amy's like, well, send it to me. I was like, no, because it's really bad. It's really naughty. And
okay, so Dina writes in romance, you guys. Okay, just fair warning, she writes in romance. That's what she means by that.
it's really smutty. So so I sent it to her, and now she won't leave me alone.
No, I won't. And it's been like a year or two since I've read it, and I won't. But someone has to, because it was great. It was a great.
And then she gave it to other people.
I did. Then I sent it to other people, so no more people are mad at Dina. But Dina, I know we're going to talk to you more in a minute, Dina, because Dina, you can see my kids in the background. Dina did the covers for Bjorn's book, so we're going to dive into those in a minute.
And
but
they are
Trisha,
very, very awesome. Very awesome.
They take your breath away. I got the Rune of Destiny here pulled up for just a minute. But I want to hear from Trisha and Mark how you guys got started, what genre you write in, and how you guys got started.
Should I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I started fiction writing in 2008, so maybe 16 years ago or so, 8 plus 12 years ago. Maybe I can't add, but I like Bjorn. I started in technical writing. I was a scientist, wrote patents and scientific journal publications. And actually, I hated writing until my grad school work. Like, I did not like to write at all. But I had a professor who taught me how to do technical writing, and I kind of got the bug for that. And then that grew into my patent career. So writing patents all the time. But when my kids were little, I started writing to entertain myself. A little bit cathartically. I had an experience with anorexia when I was a young adult. So the character I started writing was a character with anorexia and how she recovered from that. And like 7 years later, I had like 160,000 words. This is like writing for 30 minutes to an hour, like after my kids went to bed. But that was my first series, the Being Me series. And then I jumped to fantasy, which is my primary series now, YA fantasy. I have written some dystopian books, and I continue to write romance under a pen name Maria Jane.
Nice.
Very
so
versatile.
you and Dina need to talk. I love it. We're making
it is clean, closed door romance. So not all the way towards the Dina side, but
yeah,
still
it's okay. She knows a lot of romance authors, everywhere from what Dina wrote to Fade to Black. So
Good.
Plenty of those. So Mark, how did you get started? What are you writing?
Well, first, congratulations, Bjorn, on your launch.
Oh, thank you very much.
How did I get started? Well, my first few books were all nonfiction. That sort of arose out of coincidence that I did some columns for CBC Radio up here in Canada about word origins and language and culture and things like that. And that led into a couple of books about language and culture. And then that led into a book about food culture in 16th century England. And then I stopped writing for about 17 years because my wife and I adopted 4 older children, and that took all of our attention for that time, and they got older. And by the time I started writing again, a couple things. One was I realized that my memory I'm no longer able to hold, lots of data and stats and facts and things like that. So writing a nonfiction book, at least the kind that I used to write, wouldn't be possible. But also having read so many books with my kids, I thought I would try to write fiction. So I wrote a YA dystopian novel called The Headmasters. And we were talking earlier about was it Jane Eyre zombies? Or I was thinking someone should write like Wuthering Heights and zombies. There's probably a whole sequence of things there to write. Anyway, so yeah, now
Heathcliff as a zombie. Now I'd read that one.
yeah. I haven't read that in so long, but yeah, it's a great book. Yeah, and I've finished a second novel, which is also dystopian. Haven't sent it out yet, and I've started a third novel, which I guess I would call historical magic realism, sort of just inventing genres as we go along.
Nice. I like it. So we all have different starts. I say we all, like I'm part of y'all. Okay, I have not written a book. Anyone that's been on my channel or knows me, I live through you guys. Okay, you guys get my emails. You know that my grammar is awful, and you're lucky that I'm spelling things correctly. And I have spell checker. for that. So I lived through you guys. I could just mark it and make it, put it out there into the world for y'all and let y'all take the leap of faith. Okay, that's my role. That's how we do it. But one of the things, right, and I always say this, if you talk to me in person or on book launches, right? If anyone tells you that your cover does not sell your book, they lied to you. Okay, they lied. I'm sorry, but they did. Because your cover is what makes people flip the book over to read it, right? And then your copy on the back is what makes people buy it, right? All right, Bjorn, you know where I'm going. I'm going to your amazing covers because they are, when Dina sent them to me before she sent them to you, I had like a holy crap moment. And I showed everyone in my house. My parents were visiting that time. Josh was visiting. You write in Josh's genre because he's a fantasy or he's like an inspirational, how to be a better person kind of person. Just person. And so he loved it and asked when they were coming out. So if that's not the biggest compliment in the world, right? Because that's definitely what every author wants. So I'm going to show your cover. Talk to us about your cover. Dina, make sure you chime in. Okay, and that way you and Bjorn can kind of break down this cover and its wonderfulness. So let me get it up on the screen because it's beautiful and I love it. All right, talk to me about your cover. One, it's green and it's a really pretty emerald green. But you got the ship and the moon. So talk to me about your cover. How did the concept come about? How does it relate to the story? What was the process?
You want me to start, Dina?
Yeah.
Okay. I tried to make my first two covers. It was a failure. And I was pointed to Dina and she did wonders. But the whole series, the books are, there's kind of a theme throughout the covers. There's always the full moon in the background and they're different colors. But the reason the battleship's on the front, yes, Mariel is a Viking originally, but she finds herself fighting in World War II. And that is kind of the hint in that she is in a different time, but the struggle has now worldwide. It's no longer local. So that's kind of my way of explaining the covers. But I had a lot of help from Dina coming up with a theme at all because my originals were awful. So if you want to take it from there, Dina.
They were a work in progress. They weren't awful. It was a work in progress. We worked with it.
When Aimee said, "Hey, I want you to do a cover," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I could do that." And for book one, and she's like, "Trust me, you can do better than what he's got," and showed that. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
No, I agree 100%.
and I said, "Oh yeah, I think I could do better than this one."
Yeah.
So I did that. And then when she said, "Okay, he's got 4 books." At the time, she told me 4 books. She didn't tell me 5. And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I can work with that." And just put the moon on everything. And so the first book is like purple.
Yeah, purple, the first one.
And the second book, you still got the moon and it's blue. And then I was like, okay, so now we got to do a different color. Can't go back to purple, can't do blue. So we did green. And so then my hope was when you line them up on the bookshelf, they're all consistent from the spine. Everything kind of, it's going to look like a rainbow, kind of. Not perfectly, but it just kind of worked out. I mean, it was a perfect subject matter. I'm like, oh, I get to do, a Viking house, and I get to do a spaceship, or a ship, and I get to do an airplane. And so I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. So I found the one image and just let it go from there. And it's been fun.
Yeah, they're awesome. They are really good. Really good.
And I wanted him to feed to your story with the mystical, because time travel is not something you do every day. I can't go back.
I wish we could do it. Wouldn't it be great? You could just go back or go in time. It'd be great. I'm just saying. Continue, Dina.
So I wanted to have that to help your story, to help sell your story, get eyeballs on it in the first place.
Yeah, it's perfect the way it is.
Well, each one that you have, right? So you have like book 2 has the plane on it, and this one has the battleship on it. It kind of tells you the time period for the book, which I think is is an awesome thing. So we've talked about your writing style, your main character, and how she's a badass. And now, you know, she's a Viking that's time traveling. Okay, we're talking about that. So when did this turn into, because you said it was a short story and now you're at like 8 or 9 books that you're working on. You're working on the 7 and 8, right? So when did that story just continue to talk where you're just like, I'm going to keep writing, you know, Meryl's story and take her to all these places? You know, do you have it like written out where you're like, all right, this book is this one? Or do you just write by the seat of your pants? I feel like I would be like the dog in Up, you know, that's just like, oh, squirrel, let's do this. You know, it wouldn't work for me. But what is your process like for that?
This was an evolution for me for the way I do it. I wrote a couple blog pieces recently about the very thing you're asking. Sorry. Originally, it was very strict. Made an outline, did not deviate from the outline. If you deviate from the outline, backspace a bunch of times to start over, no deviation.
Oh, no, there's your technical writing.
Yeah, exactly. My past experience was fighting what I wanted to do. So that was book 1. It was a struggle. I fought myself, but by the end of it, I was fairly satisfied with how it went. Book 2, I found myself violating the rules a little bit more, but I allowed myself to do it. Nice. Book 3, I figured out I am strangling myself by trying to stick to this storyline. So I just need to put a beginning, kind of an end, maybe some important things in the middle, and the rest of it's just as it comes to my brain, it goes on the page, it goes on the screen. And 3 went really well. It went pretty quick. This is the one that was being released today, in fact, Rune of Destiny. So that was kind of where my evolution so far has gone. Book 4. Well, I won't go too much into it, but it's still evolving. Book 4 was I had more freedom because it was kind of in an open area. It hasn't been written. No chronological story's been written around it yet as much. So I was able to just run wild with a new character and do some stuff there. That went really fast and turned out really well. Then when you get to book 5, which is, you know, next year before we see that one come out, but book 5, there was a lot of rules had to be followed because I was going to start violating stuff that I've already written, and I didn't want to do that. I hate reading stories and watching TVs on, you know, shows on television and whatnot where 5 seasons into this series, they've already violated everything they've already said in the first 4. So I didn't want to be that guy, right? So I had to really take my time and really put in some, I call it bumper guard or gutter bumpers. Like if you're bowling and they keep the ball out the gutter, I had to start doing that quite a bit and force myself to obey rules again. But where I could, I let creativity run wild. And 6 and 7 is similar, but there's still a lot of room there. So I'm all over the map with this. So I've as much as I'm allowed to let creativity just run wild, I do. But there are rules that have to be followed. Otherwise, the story just falls apart. That's my opinion. The story just falls apart if you don't follow some rules. So that's, I'm not sure if that answered exactly your question, but.
No, it does. Because this whole time that you're talking, you're like, well, I've been really strict, right? So like, it just reminded me of like a speed limit sign. Okay. If you guys have never sped, I'm sorry. I have a lead foot sometimes. Okay. But you know, when you're in a small town, you do the speed limit because you don't want a ticket in a small town. So you're super strict on it. You're going like 2 under the speed limit. At least that's how Aimee does it, right?
Well, I'm out in the middle of the country, so speed limits are more suggestions than
right?
rules,
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Kind of like in my city, you know, it's a really small city and I'm like on the outer ends of it. So, you know, 65 is a suggestion. You know, it's more like 75 or 80, you know, it's a suggestion. So I feel like that's more when you were being more free and kind of caution to the wind kind of thing. And then you had to come back to the small town and obey the speed limit. You know, see, yeah. As y'all can tell, y'all got my emails. I just fly by the seat of my pants, and Grammarly is my friend. So I apologize now because a lot of you guys were technical writers for my emails. Just ignore those. There's just know that Grammarly is my friend. Okay. So does anyone else have like a similar process? You can just raise your hand. You don't have to talk. Like a similar process that you guys do, or are you guys outliners or pantsers? So who's an outliner? Nobody? Oh, DC, I was going to say. CC, you're in the middle. You're in the middle. Yeah. Everyone else is a pantser. You just kind of go by the seat of your pants. You got like an idea and then you just run with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably in the middle. I mean, I have beginning, middle, end, and then go from there.
Okay, nice. Give you some kind of structure, and then when you deviate from that, you don't feel as bad. I'm all
My
about
editor got mad at me, and now I have to write my outlines after I write. So after the end of each chapter, I wrote what I wrote. I like just one little sentence of what I wrote, so we can go back and find it.
Nice. Okay. See, we all have love-hate relationships with our editors. Andrew, we all love you. We all love you, and we hate you at the same time when you're editing our stuff, but we all love you. It's just, I feel like that's a healthy relationship with an editor. You know, that's how it should be. So I love that. And Trisha, I know that you have to leave soon, so feel free whenever you need to, and good luck on your interview.
Thanks for being here, Trisha. Thanks for doing this.
I'm going to jump to Mickey. It's Mickey's time to talk and shine. Mickey's done a lot of these with me, you guys, if you're new or if you're just joining. So me and Mickey work a lot together, and Mickey's been helping Bjorn with all of his books. Yeah. So Mickey, take it away.
I just want to say this launch is different for me in the sense that I have a number of clients on this panel right now and friends. And it's just a joy to have all of you in one space, in one area, celebrating a book that I've worked with for a series, actually. I've worked with for the last 4 months. And honestly, it's been a joy and a pleasure to work with you, Bjorn.
I appreciate it. This is
always
second time we've ever spoken personally.
Right. Right. But the one thing I will attest to is, from a media perspective, anytime I'm sending your book out, it's always a positive experience.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
reviews have been positive, the outlook's been positive. And I mean, you're just speaking and shadowing what all of our clients do. I mean, DC and Mark and Trisha, when she was here, and CC too, we get the same format, but it's just a pleasure to be here with all of you today. And thank you for releasing this wonderful, wonderful book.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody for your support. It's been, I know I've told Andrea this before, and Aimee, if it weren't for you guys, this wouldn't be happening. So I all the gratitude goes towards you guys, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh no, if it wasn't for you writing the book and having Andrea edit it, and then she had you reach out to me, we wouldn't be here. So it's technically for you writing and finding Andrea. So
symbiotic. Let's call it symbiotic.
There you go. I like it. Oh no, I love it.
I don't know if you have any other questions for me, but I just wanted to say that because this is a better. I mean, I feel very blessed today.
Well, I was gonna say one of the coolest things, and Mickey was really excited, Bjorn. He called me, I think before he sent it to you, was you had gotten a review. Mickey, was it in Australia?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. It was in
Australia.
Yeah, and he has his review in the same publication as a Stephen King review, and it is a raving review. And to me, that's just the coolest thing to be featured in that, right? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
The coolest thing in the world.
A 5-star review besides Stephen King. How much better can you get than that?
No doubt. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of fun, and I've read Stephen King. See, you guys are just learning a lot about me. I'm just telling you.
You want to talk thriller?
That's gonna be like, I don't want to meet Aimee in person because Aimee likes like really dark books. No, I'm a happy, positive person. I promise. But Bjorn, so you've told us that you're working on 7 and 8. How long or how many do you project will be in this series? Are you going to dabble into other ones? What's your future looking like in your writing career?
Well, I know I've talked with Andrew about this before, about what's coming up after this series. And my response was, I still have a lot of this series in my head, but this was weird for me now. I'm going to be honest with you. I have trouble with attention. My attention span's not very good on most things. So I started blasting out these books because I wanted to hurry up and burn it out my system before I lost interest and left it unfinished. I wanted to finish it, right? And here I am, just finished up the first draft of 7, and there's still possibilities of 8, 9, and 10, and I'm not done yet. So I'm still going. And I just hope I find what I consider to be the perfect stopping point before I try to move on to something else. So right at this point, I've kind of dabbled with some ideas about some pure fantasy, less historical fiction fantasy and more just pure fantasy, where I can really just go wild and do whatever I want and don't have to worry about any rules to follow. But I haven't burned it out my head yet. So I got to burn this out my head first. So I really don't have an answer. It could 7, the 7th one that I've just put the last dot. Well, I didn't. The first draft is finished of it. That might be the end, or it might be 10 more after that. I really don't have an answer. I got ideas for at least 5 more. I just don't know if I'm going to really push forward with those or not. I haven't really made up my mind yet.
Yeah. See, I love that though, because I feel like most authors that write in a similar genre, right? Fantasy authors, epic fantasies, right? Some of them have just it's this number and that's it. But I love how this has just evolved for you. It started as a short story, and now here we are. We have more to come, which is always a good thing. But I like that you're keeping your readers, but you and your attention span kind of at the forefront, which is like, how long will my attention span continue to let me do this before I get bored? Because I feel like me and you're very similar. I am like the dog in Up, okay? I have not been diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm just kind of like, oh, that's pretty. Let's go over here. That's got glitter, and that's where I'm going, right? And totally forget why I was at the store. I'm sure that this happens to everybody, but I forget. And then when you get home, you're like, oh, darn it. I was supposed to get this, and I got glitter. Yeah.
Well, what's crazy with me, though, is I find everything fascinating. There's something fascinating in anything that happens that I'm watching or see or I'm around, and I'll focus on something about it, and then something draws my attention to that. Now I'm wanting to create something around it. In this case, in this stage of my life, it's writing a story about it. So I might have 50 things bouncing around in this pea brain of mine, but I'm trying to stay focused on just this series to get it burned out. But yeah, I know where you're coming from. Everything just jumps out at me and says, hey, I'm trying to avoid distraction as much as possible.
Yeah, and I find like that's just I'm biased because it's me, right? But I always find that that's just a beautiful way to kind of live life, because you see beautiful things all the time. Like we're easily distracted by things, but then we find like we're curious about it too, right? It's how I kind of position it. So I like to say you live a beautiful, the way that you live life is such a beautiful thing. Okay, you're open to new things, curiosity, and you want to write about it and go on your little tangents, and I love it. I love it. If I could do that, I would. I cannot write. So no. Not at all.
Mickey's agreeing.
I know. Mickey knows.
For myself, I cannot write. It takes me to write up press releases? Like, it takes forever. It's crazy. Yeah.
And Mickey gets my unedited, non-Grammarly emails, talks to me on the phone, so he gets like emotion behind it. It's just Mickey experiences a whole different atmosphere than you guys get. You get like somewhat polished, cleaned up Aimee that uses Grammarly, and Mickey does not. Yeah, no, it's no.
Full front, boom. These guys know though. It's
one of those things. But Bjorn, I love doing Tuesday launches, and I love celebrating new books and authors that are new to this journey. Not necessarily that you are, but this is a whole new experience for you. And I love getting the opportunity to celebrate with you. And on this one, I've got to help you in this whole journey. And that's always such an honor for me to get your story out there and the quality and production and that you're happy with, because I think that's really important. And it's up to your standards. And the book is just amazing. Your series is great. You've made me a fantasy lover, and that was not my genre by any means. So you can convert people. You can convert people into loving it. So you guys make sure that you go and grab your copy. It is 99 cents today through Thursday. We'll be going back up to full price on Friday. But before I let all of you guys go, we're going to go around the room and tell everybody what genre you write in your books. We'll give last wishes, and then we're going to let Bjorn get back to celebrating his launch day. So we're just going to go through in order. So DC, you're first.
Dear, congratulations again. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the series. It feels
Thank you very much.
amazing. Sending you lots and lots of blessings for everybody who's interested. I am now promoting urban fantasy. I have a new book out. Check out Cursed by Fern. It's actually available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited for anybody who's interested. So lots of love, dear. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love it. We'll skip Dina. We'll go to Mark. Mark, your turn.
Well, I've always been drawn to dystopian, both in books and in series and movies. So I'll probably continue to explore that for a while.
Nice.
Nice.
I love it. I love it. Andrea.
Yeah, I actually have written a book. It's my memoir about perfectionism. But my day job is as an editor, and I can echo Aimee's sentiment that this genre that Bjorn writes in was really not my go-to, but I consider myself, about fight Aimee on this, is his biggest fan. It is just a fantastic series. And so I give you all of my congratulations, Bjorn, and excited for this third book and the ones to come.
Thank you very much, and thanks for coming.
I did not know you wrote a book. You need to send me the link to it.
Yes,
I had no idea.
It's called Type A Plans B. So I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I need that in my life. I need that. In my life. Oh my gosh. Cece.
Congratulations, Bjorn, again. Exciting day, exciting times for you. Super thrilled for book 3 and to hear that there's more in the pipeline. I write dystopian, YA dystopian like Mark does. My series Divided just kicked off in September, and it's the story of, hopefully not the story of the United States in 45 years after we fight a civil war over race. So hopefully we can avert that disaster that's seems to be coming at us like a bad truck. So yeah, and I love the dystopian genre as well as the post-apocalyptic, and that's my plans to stay in there for the time being.
I love it.
Thank you for being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I love it. You guys all have like these long-term writing goals. I feel like I'm behind, but at the same time, I'm living through y'all. So I'm just know that the journey in which you are on, or the book that you are writing, I'm there with you. Okay. Because when I read it, just remember I'm there. I was there with you.
I feel almost like maybe I'm in conflict with the dystopian writers now, because Mariel's trying to prevent your genre.
Oh no.
You can have at it. You can have at it.
This is why we need friends in that genre. This is why. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. But I know for me and Mickey, Dina, do you want to talk? You unmuted yourself.
I just want to tell you congratulations on the release, and keep writing.
Thank you. Thank you for the books or the covers.
They're fun to do the layout and the cover. Absolutely. So congrats for sticking with for actually publishing it as opposed to someone.
Herself. As opposed to herself. Oh my goodness.
I just want to say congrats as well, Bjorn, and looking forward to helping you with your other books as well. And you're a pleasure to work with. So thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, Andrea, I will share, and biggest fan with you. We can share. Okay. Well, we will share. Because to be fair, you edited, so you saw it first. So technically, I don't have a leg to stand on, but I feel like we can be besties and we can share. So
we can share. We can share.
You're much bigger because you're a part of it in a much deeper way, but we're going to share it for sure. But no, Bjorn, every time that we talk, it's always a really just fun, calm kind of conversation. But this has just been a lot of fun because it's a new genre for me, reading it, not publishing it, but reading it. And it's just such a spin and a creative way of doing it. And so I've just enjoyed being a part of it and meeting, and I love all of these people. I work with all these people, most of them. So it's just been a lot of fun to bring you into our little author family and help you celebrate this big day. We have more big days happening next year because you will have 2 books out. next year. Book 4 and book 5 will be out.
Yep.
So make sure you stay tuned for those. But you can go and get Rune of Destiny today for 99 cents. It's 99 cents until Thursday. It is going to go up on Friday. So go and take advantage of it. And like I always like to close out before the author talks, the nicest thing that you can do for any author is leave a review. It makes them stronger writers and it encourages them to continue as long as it's done in a tactful way. You don't want to just go bash someone that's not helping them become better.
I don't know how I'm doing if you don't tell me. That's what I always say.
Right? We all want to learn and we all want to continue doing things that we love and know that it is resonating with other people like it is when you write it. So make sure you take the time to do that. It is the biggest compliment, but the biggest thing that you can do to help any author. So with all that being said, before I close us out, I am going to let Bjorn talk one more time about his series as a whole and Rune of Destiny. So Bjorn, take it away.
You said my theory? What'd you say?
No.
I'm sorry.
Your series.
Oh, the series.
And the book.
My hearing's not very good either, obviously.
Words are hard. Words are hard.
No, I think it's fair, and I encourage Andrea to chime in if she agrees or disagrees. But I think it's fair to say books 1, 2, and 3 are the basis, the basis of the story around Mariel. But the ones that are coming are it's more detail. If you've ever watched a TV show, so I wonder how that came about. They kind of just got here, and I'm curious how that happened. That's how all the future books are. There's a lot more connections. It gives you a lot more depth as far as the characters. Mariel shows up some more because I felt like I wasn't done putting her out there for you. So there's some more there. And one thing I've always loved to do is take a small character, right? Say you wrote the first book in a series and there's a small character that's kind of in the background, but in your mind you're thinking, I can really do something with this small character. So then there's a whole nother book about the small character. That's kind of where I went with going forward. 1 through 3 is the very nuts and bolts basic of Mariel's story, and then everything else is all the extra that went in the background that you didn't know about as the reader until you read this book. So that's kind of where we're going with this, I think.
I love it. So whether you're a fantasy lover or you're wanting to dabble and test out fantasy like me and Andrea did and take a leap into that, this is the perfect series to dive into for all of you wanting to test the water. Or if you are a lover of fantasy, this one you will not be disappointed. It has a little bit of everything, which is probably why it resonates so much with me and makes me so happy. But it is wonderfully written and very creative, so you will not be disappointed. So make sure that you go and get your copy for 99 cents today, tomorrow, and Thursday. It will go back up on Wednesday. But remember, the greatest compliment you can give any author is to leave a review. Stay tuned because we do have 4 and 5 coming out next year. So stay tuned for that, everybody. But until then, we hope that you all have a great rest of your Tuesday. Go out and get the book. Check the comment section down below. You will find the link to Bjorn's book for you to go and grab your copy, along with links to all of the other authors that were on here for you to check out as well. But until next time, bye for now, everybody.